The question is, here's a book that took me 10 years to write and someone reads it in 4 hours. Isn't that unfair? And yes, it is. I would like someone to take the same amount of time reading the book.
That's what I was getting to.
Yes.
So a word a day, maybe?
Yes, a word a day. Well, that's about what I was writing. So, you know, I should also point out that while I was working on this, I wrote 2 other books. So there's a second Willis Gidney book that I finished, and then there's also another book, which is not a Willis Gidney book, but a thriller. And so I just want you to know that I wasn't working just on this the whole time. There were other things, and of course, you know, the odd day of work here and there. Yes. So some more questions? I think I saw some more hands. There's one. Hey, Patty.
I wanted to know, do you have, you hear these stories about how people have to make compromises in order to get their book published.
What?
And
compromises to get your book published?
You know, perhaps to make, you know, maybe the publisher or the agent said you need more sex and violence in it, or you need to have Britney Spears in it or something. Did you have to have any conversations like that where you had to use your integrity and fight back to keep your book?
Well, fortunately, you know, since I don't have any integrity, I didn't have to use any. That would have been, I would have had to send out or something. I wasn't ever put in that position by St. Martin's. They were very much behind what I was doing, and they liked it, and all the suggestions they made were very good, and you know, just right in keeping with what I was trying to do. So it was never that kind of thing. They did say, your book's too long. And you know, what do you mean it's too long? Well, it's too long. Well, can you tell? Well, because we want to sell your book for $24.95. The number of pages you have here is going to be a $30 book. We don't want to sell your book as $30. So you have to cut out 50 pages of your manuscript. Well, what 50 pages? Well, that's up to you. You're the writer. So they gave me that assignment. I had 2 weeks to reduce the manuscript by 50 pages. But I thought that was good. Actually, I thought it helped the book a lot to do that.
So any of the sex and violence in the book is under your decision, right?
Well, it's like when Bill was introducing me, he said, you know, anyone who's writing a gritty detective novel, and I don't know how gritty this book is. I think that, if I recall correctly, St. Martin's had to truck in some grit to put into the book, because just on its own, it wasn't quite as gritty as they wanted it to be. So I think, you know, we upped the grittiness a little bit, and there's, you know, someone was asking me about the detective and does he shoot anybody. I don't even think the detective fires a gun, let alone shoot anybody in the course of this book. I think that's, you know, for whatever reason, that's just the way it worked out.
So it's a no compromise book.
It's, yeah, actually, there's, you know, all the compromises were ones that I was making internally. I don't think I was doing any compromising with the publisher. They were very much behind me all the way through it. Yeah, thanks. And my daughter Emma has a question, yes? The question was, is writing about the DC foster care system intended to expose it in some way, or what was the other part?
Odds for any improvement.
Oh yeah, maybe create space for some improvement. Well, that would be really nice. I mean, the DC foster care system, I think these people are trying the best they possibly can. They have too many cases. Like a caseworker has got maybe twice the number of cases that they're supposed to have. So I think that they could definitely use some help. And I don't think that they're villains in this scenario. And this is also a work of fiction. I mean, I'm not trying to portray this accurately. I'm trying to portray it in a way that's entertaining and fun as much as I can. But it would be nice if someone read this and came away with that. I also think if you read the Metro section in Washington, you've got to know that, you know, our juvenile justice system in the district, you know, needs help. You know, it needs funding. It needs more caseworkers. So, yeah. Thanks. Yes.
What is the third book you wrote?
The third one. The thriller?
Yes.
The thriller is called Dead in the Air. And I wrote it as a black comedy, and my agent said people don't read thrillers for laughs. So I'm working on it now to make it a little more serious. I mean, we're talking about the fate of nations, you know. So I thought it was funny, but apparently not. So but actually I put that on the side because I'm working on the third Willis Gidney book right now, and that's called Slow Consumption. So I'm about halfway through that, and I'm working on that now. I want to try to finish that in the next like 2 or 3 months if I can. Yes. What motivated me to write?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I started writing when I was about 12 years old, when my friend Jim Hagee published a magazine called Mystics Magazine. Now this is back in Cleveland, and I'm in the Magic Arts Society of Cleveland. And one of our members, by the way, was Arsenio Hall, who was a very funny kid even then. And Jim had this magazine. And when I say it's a magazine, I mean he mimeographed it and stapled it, and we handed it out to our friends. And so he asked me, would you like to do a column? So I did a column of patter. Now, in the magic world, if you're doing a magic trick, You've got a piece of apparatus, it's, you know, the trick part of it, the gimmick, whatever it is. But there's also a story that goes along with it. I mean, it would be really boring to see a magician come out and just do an illusion. There's got to be some story to go along with it. So my column was writing stories that went along with magic tricks. So this is when I was 12 years old. And then I did a lot of journal entry type writing through my teen years. And then in my 20s, I wrote my first novel. I wrote 2 screenplays and a bunch of short stories. So the writing and the filming has sort of been going on simultaneously. I started fooling around with film cameras when I was, I think, 8 years old. So that's, they've sort of been growing together at the same time.
But for this particular book, what was the emotion of the story? How did you come about?
How did I come about this particular book? Well, there was an incident that happened to me in a restaurant in Los Angeles in 1980. And that kind of, you know, I really thought about that a lot, and that kind of formed the germ around which everything else formed. It was like the seed from which things grew. Yeah? So 1 or 2 more, you think?
That'd be great.
Yeah, 1 or 2 more questions, anybody? Anyone who hasn't asked a question before? Yes? Oh, yes. Mary.
What happened in the restaurant?
What happened in the restaurant? They stuck me with the check. And it was just, it was so terrible. It's never happened to me before. I'm usually, when the check comes, I'm usually somewhere else. And this one time the check came and I was the only person there and everyone else had left. So it was terrible. It was traumatic, really. I'm still trying to recover. No, what happened at the restaurant? Well, I was seated with 2 other people, and we were all young 20s professionals, and we were in this Mexican restaurant. And one of the people was this very nice Latina woman, and the waitress was Latina, and the woman that I was with was just incredibly mean to this waitress for no reason whatsoever. And it really struck me as odd. Like, why would somebody do that? And I just kept thinking about that. You know, when we do things like that as people, we're doing things like that because for us, life is out of balance somehow. You know, when we say something to someone, whether it's nice or whether it's not nice, we're not thinking about it that way. We're thinking about, like, things are wrong, I have to put things right. So I was trying to, like, put myself in that mindset where I would be the kind of person that would say something like that. And that's what got me thinking, that little incident. So that's how it started. Yeah. I have time for 1 more. Anyone else want to ask a question? Okay, Jerry. Well, the question, first of all, was about some internet bookstore thing. I don't, it's named after a river. I don't know what they're talking about. Once you purchase the book from your local bookseller, if you wanted to go on to Amazon, you have to have an account to write a review on Amazon. But accounts are free. And so it would be great if you wanted to get onto Amazon and write a review of the book, and hopefully a nice review. Then you can do that. You know, the book's available at all the online places, and for a lot of people that's a blessing because, you know, maybe they can't get out of their house or maybe they're too busy or whatever. But, you know, what I've been doing on this book tour is I'm going to a lot of independent bookstores, and this is like the best part of the tour, is seeing all these stores and meeting all these people and seeing how great they are and how, you know, some of the big chains are in trouble financially. And it would be a shame if all the independent stores, you know, went out of business and then all the big chain stores went out of business. That would be like the worst case scenario. So I think it's really important that we keep the independent stores alive and healthy and give them our business and hang out here and meet our friends here, you know, because you can't do that online. So how's that? That's good? Okay. Oh, wait, so
One quick question.
quick question. Is Willis Gidney a sympathetic character to me, or would I hold him at arm's length? No, he's a very sympathetic character to me. I mean, my thought processes and his are very similar. And so I think that he and I would be friends. Yeah, if we got a chance. He's quite a bit younger than me. And he's probably better looking, and he probably has quicker reflexes. But apart from that, I think we're very similar. Yeah, and he also lives in this sort of Howard Hawks universe, and I don't. But apart from that, yeah. Hey, well, thanks very much, everybody. Thank you very much for being here.